Welcome to the Idaho Fishing Report. Whether you are planning just a couple of hours or a full weekend of fishing, this is your one-stop place for all the information you need to plan your trip. It's all right here, from weather forecasts and reservoir levels to the latest stocking reports and expert advice. And now, the host of Idaho Fishing Report, Jeff Cullers.
Well, that's right. I am Jeff Cullers, and this is the Idaho Fishing Report for the weekend of September 8th, 2023. Happy to have you along. Got a great report for you here today. We got your weather forecast. We got your reservoir level boat ramps. Jordan Rodriguez will join us with his Tightlines 208 hot tip of the week. So happy to have you along. It's my favorite time of the year to go fishing. It is beautiful weather, so we're going to get into that right now. But before we do, I want to make sure that I let you know a couple of things that are happening. Tomorrow night, or Friday night, if you're listening to this first thing Friday, I'll be at Homedale doing the Homedale football varsity football game. And then a week from Saturday, that's right, Saturday, September 16th, at the O'Connor Fieldhouse in Caldwell, Idaho, you can see roller derby right here in the valley. I'll be calling that game. I actually be doing that one online on the Good Boy Studios YouTube page. My friend Mimi will be calling it in-house, but we'll be there. You want to check it out. It's an inter-valley battle between Beat City Bombers and the Treasure Valley Roller Derby as they go up against each other one more time this season. All right, want to jump right into that regional update for you here. And want to tell you what's happening as far as the weather goes as we get ready to go fishing this weekend. All right, we'll start over in the Magic Valley like we always do. Sunset there will be around 8 o'clock p.m. Going to see mid to low 80s all the way through the next Thursday. And, folks, good news. Partly cloudy to mostly sunny to sunny all week long. The wind's going to be super calm, nothing in double digits until next Wednesday. And you know how that can be. That can change as well, too. So just keep an eye on that. All right, over in the Treasure Valley, starting over in the Mountain Home Bruno area, my favorite place to fish down there at CJ Strike. Sunset there is around 8:05 p.m. Kind of the same thing, but a little bit warmer. We're going to see upper 80s to low 90s all week. End and all week, partly cloudy and sunny all week long. Check this out, folks. The winds super calm for this area, 6 to 9 miles an hour. That's it. Can you believe it? I mean, my gosh, over there in that Anderson Ranch and CJ Strike, calm winds, man, you got to take advantage of that while you can, right? All right, let's move over into Boise. And sunset there will be around 8:07 p.m. Kind of the same story, a little bit cooler. Nothing in the 90s, all in the upper 80s, though. All weekend and all week long. The only chance of rain is on Friday in the Boise area, and that's only a 2%. Everything else looks great, sunny to partly cloudy. Low winds. Again, Wednesday seems to be your best chance of wind, getting up around 11 miles an hour. All right, let's take a trip up that Double Nickel. You know my favorite place to be up there, Lake Cascade. Sunset around 8:07 p.m. Mid to upper 70s, again, all week long. Now, you get a little bit more chance of rain here, but we always usually do up in the mountain area there. But it's only 2 to 4%. Bigger chances on Friday, and it decreases from there. Winds relatively calm. Don't see much wind up that way anyway. So, all right. Let's head over to the Ore-Ida, the Snake River Canyon area. Sunset there will be around 8:11 p.m. Mountain Time. We're going to see upper to mid 80s all weekend and all week long. Again, a little bit chance of rain out that way, 1 to 3% though. So, I mean, it's very, very small. But for sure, there's a chance of rain. Calm winds. If you're looking for good weather, this is it. I'm just saying that you're going to have really good weather this weekend. Now, we're going to get into how the fishing is here in just a little bit, right after our Tightlines 208 hot tip of the week with Jordan Rodriguez. All right, joining us as he does each and every week, the owner and creator of Tightlines 208, an acclaimed journalist here in the Treasure Valley, Jordan Rodriguez. My man, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
Listen, I wouldn't think doing this show without you. You're our expert, and we love it. We love to have you here. So, Tightlines 208, you've been a part of my life since I moved here, and to have you on the show is just it's an honor. So I appreciate you being here. What is that Tightlines 208 hot tip of the week?
Yes, sir. We got, I'm going to do two this week. One is just a real quick one here, and it's just a safety reminder as it concerns wild animals.
Okay.
There's just been a lot of stuff in the news with bears and mountain lions both.
Yep.
They are on the move. They are obviously in places where you might expect to find them, like the Island Park area. Where I just actually was this past weekend. And then they're also in places where you might not expect to see one, closer to town and in certain places. So in my memory, this is the most activity I've seen as far as Fish and Game putting out warnings and, news stories detailing some of the encounters. There was actually a grizzly that two hunters killed in self-defense in the Island Park area. So there's just a lot of it right now. It's not uncommon for the early fall months to kind of be a transition period for animals. But if you're going to be somewhere where, bears or mountain lions are a possibility, use the buddy system, have defense on you, whether that's a firearm or some bear spray. Make noise as you go. I think a lot of people overlook that one. So the animals can hear you coming. If they hear you coming, most likely they're going to split before you ever see them. So just a good thing to keep in mind. Fish and Game website has quite a few articles posted on this topic if you want to learn more. But I just like to throw that out there because, a lot of our fishing stuff happens in the outdoor wilderness, and it's always somewhat of a risk.
I have to tell you, I have seen more this year, I feel like, than I have in the past few years for sure, especially mountain lions, right? We're seeing a lot of that. And, bears generally, that's an animal that you can, if you do what you're supposed to do, bear spray, back off, you can get away. If you see a mountain lion, it's a little bit different story, right? It's a fight to the end.
Yeah, it's a dangerous thing. And I think probably the biggest key, if you were going to do like one thing, it would be to be with a group.
Yep.
To be with multiple people. There's a lot less risk of being attacked. Cats in particular, they'll be less likely to attack people in a group as opposed to a solitary person. Just like any animal, right? They're looking to single somebody out. And then obviously if something does occur, having multiple people around to help or to call for help or, to fight off or frighten the animal away. There's just a lot more options you have there if you got a friend or two or three with you as opposed to being on your own.
For sure. All right. What's the second part of our hot tip this week?
Well, we're going, this one is more fishing related, and I feel like we've mentioned it on the show a few times, just kind of in passing about certain things, but I'm just going to throw out there, specifically, the tip is to get a two-pole permit.
Oh, man.
A two-pole permit in Idaho is like an extra $15, $15, something like that.
Right.
And it just comes in handy in so many different ways. I'll share the most common ways that I use it. And then, obviously there's no wrong answers, but having two rods instead of one. So first of all, some people misunderstand what this means. You can have as many fishing rods with you in your boat or, carrying on the bank, whatever you're doing. There's no restrictions on how many rods you have. The restriction applies to how many you're fishing with. So How many are in the water? The lines are in the water. And with a standard license, you can only be fishing with one. With a two-pole permit, you can be fishing with two. And that's the most you can ever fish with outside of ice fishing, which we'll leave off to the side for now. So with the two, for me, there's really two big ways where this benefits you. One is if you're trolling and you happen to be trolling solo in a boat, being able to use two rods instead of one. I mean, obviously you're doubling your chances of fish, but you can just do so many different things as far as experimenting with depths,
Yep.
lure types, colors, all of those things. Yeah. I mean, some of those is just micro adjustment variable things, especially when you're trolling for something more finicky like kokanee. And it just allows you to cycle through and kind of solve that riddle faster. And if you're trolling with something like crankbaits for, panfish, perch, or crappie, just allows you to, like I said, do two different colors. Some days it'll be the perch pattern is all they want. Some days it'll be a crayfish pattern or something else. So again, just helping you solve that riddle in addition to just mathematically having, more chances at a fish. The second way I use this, which is primarily from the bank, but could certainly apply to boat fishing as well, is if there's an opportunity to fish with both bait and a lure.
Yes.
And this is very often the case. Maybe you're, trout fishing from shore. You want to have like a slip sinker set up with like a worm and marshmallow that can get, eaten on occasion. And then with your other rod, you could be throwing a spinner or Rapala or something like that. One of the more common applications for me doing this is to have a catfish rod on the Snake River or, any of the associated waterways, a catfish rod with some bait where it's just kind of, a waiting game. Could even apply to sturgeon if you've got sturgeon gear. But with those types of fish, you're just letting the bait sit there and there's not really much activity to it. And then with your other rod, you could be throwing, say, for bass. That's usually what I'm doing. I'll be throwing bass lures, whether that's crankbaits or jigs or plastics or whatever it is. And I've kind of got my bait rod sitting off to the side. And, if every 20 or 30 minutes it goes off with a catfish on it, then, hey, it's just kind of a nice fun bonus and you're fishing for multiple species at a time. So there's many other ways to apply this and to use it. Those are kind of two of my favorites. And I think two of the more common and useful ways that you could use the 2-pole permit. But, by the time you've done a license for the year, it's, I think, $35. So to get two for essentially $50 is, if you're going to do a lot of fishing, it's definitely well worth it, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. And so both aspects for me, right? So my wife and I do a lot of trolling. She doesn't like the whole casting, right? She likes to troll. And so it's the same thing. Like for us, I will actually run 3 colors at one time just to make sure that we're hitting the right thing. And then if I'm on the bank or on a dock, it's the same thing. I'm putting a bait, a worm, or a marshmallow for trout, whatever, catfishing. It's the same thing because you're just really opening up that opportunity. You're opening that window to catch more fish when you can do that.
Absolutely. And if you've ever been out with guides, which I've done on a few vacations, and I have some friends who are guides and that type of thing, you'll notice that they are fishing the maximum amount of lines that are allowed for whatever the area and the situation is. So it's just a smart way to do it. It's a good way to maximize your opportunities and to learn some things as well. Maybe be more experimental with one of the rods. That's something I do sometimes when trolling. And I do that with ice fishing as well, which is another scenario where you can have multiple rods. It's a little more freedom to just experiment with something you haven't done before, because you can also be having a rod with, whatever your favorite lure or something you're very confident in. So highly recommend. It's pretty inexpensive as far as that goes. And I think it'll open up a lot of new opportunities for you.
Yeah. When you divide that number that it cost by the number of days, it's really pennies on the day.
Absolutely.
All right, my friend, what do you got coming up here from Tightlines 208? Anything here that we need to know about?
On September 20th, we are doing Learning to Fly, which of course is our fly fishing 101 class. We've got a lot of seats sold, but we do still have some room in that class. So if you want to join us, that's coming up September 20th. And that's from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. We're going to do some hands-on professional instruction with casting, learning how to cast a fly rod. And then we'll do our normal seminar and discussion back at the Hilton Garden Inn Boise Spectrum. So it's a great class. I would say it's one of my more popular classes every year. In fact, this is the second time in 2023 that we've offered it. So people definitely get a kick out of it, and always fun to meet listeners and see listeners there. That's what we have coming up for September. And then I'm working on the rest of my fall schedule. It will for sure include fillet and fly, which, as you know, is a super fun class held down at Jump, and that's down in downtown Boise, and potentially one more as well. We'll see what we can squeeze in here before the holidays start hitting, and I usually take about a month off at the end of the year. It's difficult to schedule. It's cold, and folks are traveling and hanging out with families. So we will have at least 2 more classes, possibly a third. And of course, we will keep you up to date here on the podcast with all that as well.
2 things. One, that learning to fly, that is a very extensive class. It's really in depth. It's more than your other classes, right?
I would say yes, in some ways. I try to make all my classes like super immersive, and people get as much as they can out of it. But fly fishing is kind of such a unique, method unto itself that I do think, there's a ton of information, a ton of good information that folks may not think about. So as far as the value of that and, what you're going to take out of it, if you don't know anything about fly fishing, you're going to come away knowing a lot. And if you know a little or, a moderate amount, you're going to come away with, I think, a lot more knowledge and ways to apply that, right, and to actually put it into practice on the water. So yeah, it's a really fun and engaging evening. You come away with a ton of information and some new skills as well with the casting. We try to break down some of those barriers to entry, which is always the case when it comes to fishing or trying a new hobby. But because of some of the kind of technical nature of fly fishing, I think it's even more important to try to break those down and introduce people to say, hey, this isn't scary. This isn't, super hard. You can do it. Here's how. And then just kind of build that confidence and away you go.
The second part of that is, can you believe that we're like a month and a half away from Thanksgiving? You mentioned the holidays. I mean, like, we're rolling into it here. This is it. This is the time to get out on the water.
It is. And I'll tell you, September is one of my favorite months. September and like the first, it depends on the year, but week, 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks of October is just a great, great, great time to be fishing here in our region. The bass fishing really picks up. Those fish put on the feed bags. The weed problems tend to be a little less as the water cools down a bit. The trout it's just perfect temperatures and water conditions for the trout. The panfish bite usually picks up. The jumbos at Cascade are biting, and it's just a great time to be on the water. So looking forward to doing some of that. And it is hard to believe that it's this late in the year already, but at the same time, 2023's got a lot left to give, I think, for the angling community.
Absolutely. And the family here, we have a trip end of September. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be a full moon, and we got a lot of going into that, but you're right. This is it. This is the time to hit it. And as we go into it. So, all right, my friend, how do we connect with you if we want to know more about you? Instagram and the website.
Yes, sir. So it's tightlines208.com is the website. All the information about upcoming classes and lessons and all the things we offer through Tightlines 208 can be found there. I also post free monthly fishing reports on that website, and they are pretty, hands-on. It's stuff that I'm either experienced myself or have gotten from very, very reliable sources. So as far as fishing reports go, I would recommend checking that out. It's pretty good stuff. At least once a month, I will post a local fishing report at tightlines208.com. And then I'm on Instagram as well. It's tight_lines208. And it's all fishing pictures all the time. Lots of fun stuff up there. And just, cranking out as much content as I can get away with.
He is Jordan Rodriguez, owner and creator of Tightlines 208. He joins us each and every week here on the Idaho Fishing Report with a hot tip. Jordan, we appreciate you coming with us, and we will talk to you next week. Tight lines, my friend.
Tight lines. Thanks, Jeff.
All right. Thank you, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy.
Do you want to be part of the show? Email us with questions or your fishing report from your last trip. Email general questions to gemstatefishing208@gmail.com. Fish pictures sent to myfish@gemstatefishing.com. And viewer questions to questions@gemstatefishing.com. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you, listeners. Email us. Get on that old computer, that phone. Type us a little email. Tell us what you're doing. Show us some pictures from your fish adventures this week. All right, let's look at that reservoir level and boat ramp information. I have to tell you, I was really impressed. Usually this time of the year, these start to go down, but we definitely got some that are going down, but like Arrow Rock actually went up this week. And so, but let's dive right into it. We'll start over in the Magic Valley. Lake Walcott sitting at 97% full with an elevation of 42.45. The boat ramp is open. Little Wood sitting at 65% full, elevation of 52.17. The Little Wood boat ramp is open. And Milner sitting at 74% full. And of course, we have no boat ramp information for that one. Over in the Treasure Valley, CJ Strike still maintaining a 54-foot gauge height, 100% full. Anderson Ranch, 85% full with an elevation of 41.82. All boat ramps are open. Arrow Rock, as I said, was up 10%, 31% full with an elevation of 31.35. That means both ramps are now open again, the high water and the low water ramp. Lucky Peak is sitting at 61% full. That one is down, elevation of 30.13, which means only the Spring Shores Slips, along with Spring Shores Main, and Turner Gulch ramps are open. All the rest of them are closed. Lake Lowell sitting at 60% full with an elevation of 25.23. All ramps are open. It's the first podcast of September, so it's my time to remind you, as I will through the end of the month, that motorized and non-motorized boats are allowed April 15th through September 30th on Lake Lowell. After that, human-powered boats are allowed 200 yards in front of the upper dam and lower dams between October 1st and April 14th. The rest of the lake is set aside for migrating and wintering wildlife. So that is your Treasure Valley update. Let's get, before I head up to Cascade, though, let me tell you about Wahi. You guys have asked for it. We've added that in. 55% full with an elevation of 26.41. All ramps are open. All right, heading up to the Cascade area. Cascade is 63% full. We lost a ramp up there with an elevation of 48.18. All ramps are open except French Creek, Buttercup, and the new closure is Sisera. Can't use that one anymore. Deadwood sitting at 57% full. The Cozy Cove boat ramp is open. And Man Creek sitting at 27% full with an elevation of 28.52. Both ramps are open, but I will tell you that I think it's the southern one. That one's getting really close, folks. Really close. All right, so let's head over to the Snake River area and look at that cool little map that they put up over at Brownlee, currently sitting at 2057.3. All boat ramps are still open. But Spring Recreation, which is on the Oregon side, only has about 2 usable feet of depth past the ramp, and Steck Park only has 4. So just remember that. Woodhead, no chance of losing that there. That one usually stays open all year long. Hey, I took it away the last podcast 2 weeks ago. But it's back again, my friends. A health advisory has been issued for the Brownlee Reservoir due to a harmful algae bloom caused by high levels of toxic algae. Please use caution in or near the water. See the Idaho Recreational Water Health Advisories page for additional information and resources. Make sure you visit us at gemsafefishing.com for all the links to all the information we provide here. You can also contact us through the site. All right, let's get into some stocking reports. What do you think about that? Let's talk about where we're going to be stocking at this week. Get that cool little picture up of those fish being pumped out of there. We'll start over in the Magic Valley area. Dirks Lake is getting 4,500 fish stocked this week. Dog Creek Reservoir, 2,000 fish stocked this week. Lake Cleveland is getting 2,500 fish stocked this week. And Thorn Creek Reservoir, 2,000 fish are being stocked this week. Over in the Southwest, not a whole lot happening right now. I think the Boise River is getting stocked in a couple places, some small ponds, but nothing of significant value to report on there. So looks like if you want to catch some freshly farmed trout, you're going to have to head over to the Magic Valley. All right, what about some tournaments? There's a couple of tournaments happening this weekend. The Dry Creek Open is happening, and that is going to be at Milner Lake. The launch is going to be at the Burley Golf Course, and same place as the weigh-in. Don't have a time for that, but that is going to be happening on Saturday, September the 9th. And then the only other one to talk about is the Inner Mountain Bass Anglers Kids Tournament. And that is also happening on Saturday, September the 9th. That will be at CJ Strike. And you know it, the Black Sands boat ramp will be used for that one. And those are the only two fishing tournaments to really talk about this week that's happening. So not a whole lot. Of course, CJ Strike usually has one going on. So. Hey, you can find us on every social media platform from Facebook groups, Twitter, or Instagram. Our handle at Idaho_report. Yeah, give us a good follow there. All right, it is time for the moon phase report. Your new moon will be happening on September 14th, first quarter of September 22nd. And I'm going to go ahead and give you the full moon because that's not too far behind. It is Saturday or September 29th. That's right, September 29th. Apogee is September 12th, and perigee is September 27th. So we're looking at really pretty decent fishing, I think, for that 27th through the 1st of October there. So just remember that apogee is when the moon is furthest away from the Earth, and perigee is when the moon's closest. We just saw that super blue moon last full here in August, and hopefully you guys and gals got a chance to get out there and do some fishing in that, and the bite was good. Would love to hear from you about that if you did. All right, let's talk about our peak fishing times. Okay, so as good as the weather was, my friends, the fishing is not going to be good. As far as the moon phase, it does. Listen, this doesn't mean they're not going to be biting. Doesn't mean you won't catch a fish. What it means is that you're gonna have to work really hard at it, and you're gonna have to use all your tricks and your knowledge and to really get into this. So, Friday, there were no peak fishing times in the good. Everything was in fair. And so, you're generally going to see it. I mean, in the fair, it's going to be around 9 a.m., 10 p.m. On Saturday, you'll get a 10 a.m. and an 11 p.m. in the good. Sunday, you'll get 3 good peaks, 10, 5:30, and 11:30. And remember, these are all, they're like right on the line of fair. Picks up a little bit as the week goes along, obviously. Noon and midnight on Monday. And then another one around 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. And then at 7:30. So right there at dusk, Tuesday seems like a really good day to get out and go fishing, I think. Wednesday, 2 a.m. and 2 p.m., and then you're going to get another one at 8 o'clock. And then on Thursday, 3 a.m. and 3 p.m., and then at 8:30 p.m. So that is your moon phase report and all the fishing that you will want to do. All right, let's get into my grade. It's not going to be a good one here. You see, I'm sporting my College of Western Idaho, and just like my math grade, this one's going to be a C. Um, and honestly, man, I almost gave it a B because of the weather. There's no way I give it an A. Just the fishing, just with the moon phase, is not great. Um, if you're looking at the weather, it's an A. I'm just telling you right now, it's an A. The weather's going to be beautiful. It's going to be calm. If you want to get out there, get out there. Go fishing, be on the water, have fun. But it's, as far as fishing goes, it's not. It's going to be a C. Now, later in the week, I will tell you that will transition into a B as the we get a little bit closer to the next moon phase. But yeah, it's going to be a C over the weekend, and hopefully you guys can get out there and enjoy it. All right, hey, before we get into the wrap up here, I just want to remind you that if you've ever had an idea for a great podcast but just didn't know how to get started, starting your own podcast is as easy as contacting Good Boy Studios and letting them help you get your great idea out of your head and into your listeners' ears. They can teach you how to write, edit, produce, and publish your own podcast, or they can handle all those tasks up for you, and all you do is show up to record. Contact them today to learn more at goodboystudios.com. That's good, B-O-I, studios.com. Good Boy Studios can help launch your idea into a reality. All right. Well, we've had a great show this week. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed being here. We are in the Good Boy Studios right here, of course, in Boise, Idaho. And just want to tell you that I really appreciate you guys. We're going to be putting the wraps on this podcast as we usually do here at the end of the month. Well, 1st of October, we are going to go fishing. My wife and I are going to go take one last camping trip and go do a little fishing here at the end of the month. I told you about that full moon coming September 29th, the perigee September 27th. I'm taking advantage of that. So we're going to go check that out and go do some fishing, get away for a few days, and be down there at the old CJ Strike. If you're down that area, hopefully we'll see you out there on the water. But it's been a good show this season. I know we've had some glitches here and there. Last week we had a terminal equipment failure that I was on the road and just couldn't get it fixed. So I apologize we weren't on the air last week. But thank you guys for being here. You're faithful listeners, and we really appreciate you coming along. As far as, like I said, the coming weeks, we got the rest of September, and I think we're doing one in October. And but we are amping up another show called Jock Itch, and it's me and my brother, and we're just kind of talking about all kinds of things and kind of what's happening in the news, sports, a little bit of sports thrown in there, and us just being brothers. And so it's going to be a really cool show. Check that out. We were actually supposed to launch this week, but had to push it back a week. But we look forward to getting that show out to you soon. It's called Jock Itch, and you can find that where? At goodboystudios.com. So, all right. It has been a great show. Thank you for coming along. One other thing I wanted to tell you about. I did get a chance to jump in on the Idaho Fish and Game. They had their sturgeon plan for the next few years, and that's really cool. And they're looking for some feedback from anglers. So if you get a chance, you might want to jump on there and see if you can help them out. And they are you go to the Idaho Fish and Game report, and you go to their form page and the sturgeon management plan. You can read all about that there, and you can look into that, and you can actually even jump in and give some feedback on that. And you can listen to the meeting. I sat in on it. It was really good. They're just trying to figure out how to get sturgeon to have a good life here in Idaho, and what that means. Do they need to put controls on it or things like that? The short answer that I got from that was no, not at this time, because I actually asked that question. It's like, hey, do you see limiting, how many sturgeon you can catch a day? And they said, no, absolutely not at this point. If it gets too bad, yeah, maybe, but right now, no. So pretty good deal. Go to the Idaho Fishing Game .gov. So it's idfg.idaho.gov/form/sturgeon management plan. And you can check that out on their page. And really good. Really enjoyed that. So check that out. So, all right, that's going to put a wrap on it, my friends. Thank you for being along. Thanks to Jordan Rodriguez for coming and reminding us about safety. You just never know when you're out there, bears and mountain lions. And so you just keep your eyes open there and always be alert. And of course, that 2-pole permit, I love it too. It's a great idea. So thanks to Jordan Rodriguez and Tightlines208.com. Check him out. Still room in that fly fishing class if you want to get in. It's really cool. Jordan's a very patient teacher and makes you feel like a good human being when you're taking his class and not like an idiot. So Jordan's a great guy. Make sure you check that out. For Dean and myself, this has been the Idaho Fishing Report. Thank you guys for coming along. Could not do it without you. And I'll see you on the water. We would like to thank you for listening to the Idaho Fishing Report. You can find us at gemstatefishing.com. Also, connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also find us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and give us a like. Thanks to our sponsors, guests, and experts, but especially you, our listener, for making this show possible. This has been a Good Boy Studios production in association with OMS Multimedia, LLC. Join us next week for another episode of the Idaho Fishing Report. This show is the property of Old Man Studios, LLC, and may not be reproduced, rebroadcast, or retransmitted without the express written consent of Old Man Studios, LLC.